Friends, thank you for continuing to be with me. In our third session, we're going to take a look at course communication tools. So let's start with an understanding of what we're going to look at here. I know it's course communication tools, I've just said that. Specifically, we'll look at the calendar, how to create events, how to set up appointment groups. It's lots of time where students can sign up and come and join your virtual or your in-person office hours. Ways for you to send messages to students inside the inbox, and other ways to send messages in other places in the course where you don't necessarily think there would be a place for you to contact students. It turns out you can send a message from almost anywhere. And then we'll end with a discussion of discussions as a communication tool, as well as how to create and manage announcements. So we'll go ahead and start with the calendar. And I want to first assure you, because it's a common question, how do students stay organized in Canvas? All right, students will be able to see their due dates and all of the things they have to do. And I will prove that to you here. This is Bruce. He is now an MTS student. And over here on the right, he has a to-do list that is filled with various events like his office hours. And down here, he has a link going to an assignment that he has to complete inside his class and a discussion board reply that he has to complete for this class. Students will be notified of these events inside their to-do list. And once you create those calendar events and due dates, they will automatically appear here. Now, if your question is, well, how do I make that happen, Helen? Let's go on over to your calendar and we're going to start to take a look. So here is, or rather here, is that same class that Bruce is in. He's inside of calculus. Your calendar is located right here in the blue bar underneath the MTSU logo. Go ahead and click on that button. And if you don't see all of these tiles, it's okay. That's because I have some events already placed here. First, let me show you the organization of the space, and then we're going to add some items. So by default, you'll be brought to this month view, and various calendars that you have on will be listed here. And they're on because they have that colored square with the color corresponding to events for that class. So calculus is marked here in orange. If you don't have any events, it might look like this, but that's because you have turned off the calendar. To turn on the calendar, click on the square. And if you have due dates and office hours, they will automatically pop up here. You get one calendar per class. So one calendar for each of your student-facing classes. You also have a calendar just for you, and it's probably going to have your name here. And you can create events for your personal events, just like in a regular agenda or planner that you keep. So if you'd like to create some calendar events like office hours, that's the classic example. You're going to click on this plus button up here in the corner, and you're led to this window where you can create an event. I'm going to do this for my other class. This is pre-calculus, just to show you that the color changes because the color corresponds to the color for that course. And let's say I want to set up some, some project time, let's say. So I'm going to call this pre-calculus project time. I'm going to title this the first date when the project time starts. So let's say it starts today. I'm going to put a start time. If this is not a repeating event, then leave it at does not repeat. If this is an event that repeats, then you can choose your desired frequency. As a matter of fact, remember I was supposed to make this office hours, so let's do that. Um, if I have, say, office hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 2 to 4 p.m., I would actually set that up this way. So if you have the same start time for your office hours, go to custom, and here you can choose both Tuesday and Thursday. So that works, again, only if they start at the same time and end at the same time. And so this will make that repeating event on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 4 p.m. As an option, you can put your location, like your office number or your Zoom link or your Teams link, whatever you use for virtual office hours. But the key is that you have to pick the correct calendar. So this is supposed to be for those students. So pick the academic course and then you'll choose submit.
Helen, there's no booking option in the calendar, is there? Like right now, we can book through Teams and then students.
There is a booking option. I'll get to that shortly.
Okay.
So just so that we're catching up here, these were the office hours I just made. Remember, they went from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. So there's Tuesday and Thursday. And they're repeating because you can choose when you set these up to have them go for X number of weeks. So that's how I would set up those office hours if they start at the same time. If your office hours start at different times, you're going to have to set this up once for Tuesday, like say at 2 p.m., and then you'd have to go back and set up separate office hours for Wednesday at 10 o'clock. So when you set up those events, they will appear on the students' calendars. You don't have to do anything extra. And then if I want to delete, right, you can click on the cell here and choose delete. Or if you have to move office hours, whoops, I meant that they were on Friday. You can drag and drop it to Friday, and it changes it for students too. Now, if you want to do appointments, right, that's what was asked. Here's how you would set this up. Click on the plus button here. We'll choose orange, okay, for this. I'm going to call this calculus appointments. Choose the first date when the appointments start. So just so that you can watch for this, I'm going to choose tomorrow, the 13th. And these appointments start at 1 o'clock. And let's say they go until 4 o'clock. Actually, I just realized I was in the wrong tab. Sorry, I have to start this over. Choose appointment group. But we're going to start this over on the 13th here, and they go from 1 to 4. My apologies for that. My point is you can set up multiples of these groups. If I want to have appointments for students on the 13th and on the 15th, I can pick the 15th. And set up multiples of these groups. And each appointment is going to be 20 minutes, like that. Then when I click on go, the appointments are made with these time slots. And then I'll have to choose the correct calendar. This is key. Don't pick your name. You're going to pick an academic class. So I'm going to pick calculus right here. And then I hit publish. So remember, they're on the 13th and the 15th, right? So the appointments are set up. Now, this is what Bruce is going to do. Remember, Bruce is in this class, right? Bruce goes to the calendar. Now, you don't see these appointments automatically pop up. That's because he has to click find appointment. He picks that class because you told him they're in your calculus class. So I click on submit, and now the appointments pop up. He clicks on that specific time that he's going to sign up, and then he chooses reserve. So now it's reserved for him. And now I come back here. I'm just going to refresh my screen. And I hope this is visible. This appointment is now kind of in better contrast because someone signed up for it. There's a little check mark for it. So when I click on the appointment, I can see who signed up and I can even send him a message. Speaking of communication. And that's,
Helen, is there any way to set a lead time so like 5 minutes before the half hour, they can't come in and say, I want to meet with you in 5 minutes?
uh-uh.
Okay, because we can do that in Teams, but we can't do that here. Okay.
All right, so that's appointments. And when it comes to assignments, I won't go over assignments in full right now, but I will assure you when you set due dates in assignments, those assignments appear automatically on the calendar. We'll have separate sessions for assignments, discussions, and quizzes. So we'll go into all of those technicalities later.
Can I ask a quick question back on appointments?
Sure.
I noticed you didn't fill out the location and there didn't seem to be a place to like put a link to.
You can put a
So,
link.
so do you make the link within Canvas or do you make it in Teams and copy and paste the link?
I would just make it in your program of choice and just paste the link there. Or
Okay.
here's actually not an appointment group. If you're setting this up for an event, so you could actually do this. If you go to more options,
Uh-huh.
this is the rich content editor, right? You could put the link here because it's an external link. So you could put the Zoom link here, just call it Zoom, put the HTTPS link here, and it should be clickable when they
And
get.
can you do that in the appointment group tab?
I don't think so because I don't think it has the rich content editor.
So how do you give students the link for a virtual meeting for their appointments?
I would simply tell students in the details, um, go ahead and copy and paste that link into your browser because there's nothing stopping you from doing this.
Okay.
I can type the link in there.
So you can't set up like in D12, you had a tab for Zoom and you set up the appointment within D12. There's not a similar option in Canvas.
So if you're setting it up in an event, you have a more options area where in the more options area, you can type in the word Zoom. And then in the chain link, in external link, you can put the HTTPS link here as an event.
Okay. But there's not a
Correct. There's not an easier way to do that inside
there's
of appointment
there's
group.
there's no virtual meeting or conferencing within Canvas. Everything has to be set up outside and then imported or copied in.
Uh, correct. Now you may want to check with your Canvas admins on this if there are additional tools that they want you to use.
Okay, thank you.
All right, friends, just in the interest of time, let's go ahead and hold on to those questions just until I get a little further in the agenda, and then I promise we'll have some dedicated time to kind of address the backlog of questions then. Hope that that's okay. All right, so that is, in short, the calendar. Let's dip on into the inbox.
Hey, Helen, we have a question. We were just looking at the calendar invites. There was something that said have students sign up for groups, but it's grayed out. Can you explain that, please?
Let me go ahead and find appointment groups right here. You have to check the box and then you can limit each time slot.
Oh, I have to tell it that I want it. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
okay, got it. No, it's still grayed out.
She says it's still grayed out.
So, okay,
Oh, that's
see that have students sign up in groups under select calendar?
That,
Yeah, that's what's grayed out.
Did you
Okay,
did you pick a course?
Select right there.
Did
Okay,
you
yeah, I
select?
did do the course. Selected the course.
Do you have
Um,
groups already set up in that course for it to work?
yeah,
Oh,
I
okay,
was gonna ask.
yeah, okay, I'm not set up probably.
Yeah, if the course has no people, there's no groups. So yeah.
Understood. Well, that makes sense.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, so the inbox. The inbox is where students in Canvas can send you messages in Canvas. This is not, by the way, negating MTSU email, right? They still have MTSU email. My point is students will send you messages in Canvas. You can be able to see them in your MTSU email. And students, when they receive that email notification, can respond from email to your Canvas message. So when you click on the inbox button here, and I have here just a sample, just to let you see what's available here. You can see threads with all of the responses. Both student and teacher messages appear here, and you can also see there's an option to create, say, an audio message or a video message. Now, if you'd like to send a message, click on Compose. And in the drop-down, you must pick a specific course. So I'm thinking about Bruce, right? I have to send a message to Bruce, but I have to know that he's in my calculus class because you have to pick the class first. So here it is here. So once you have the course selected, you can then pick the specific student you're thinking of in the course. So here's where I would find Bruce. On the other hand, if you want to send a message to all 200 students, you can because you can choose all and it will send a message to all 200 people. Now you can also send it to be blind carbon copied. In that case, choose send an individual message. But for me, I want to go ahead and send this message just to Bruce. So I picked him. And then here you'll type in your subject. Help with problem set number 1. And feel free to type your message here with whatever details you wish to attach something like a file. Or if you put on nice clothes and you're looking sweet, you could drag a video that you might have previously created here, or, oh, not so bad. You can record a video from here. And if you don't want your face to show, you can turn off your webcam. But I'll be vulnerable. I'll go ahead and start to record. Hi there, Bruce. Just wanted to see if you needed any help with problem set number 2. And then that will be attached to your message so Bruce, in this case, can play it. And then you hit send. And then to reply to messages, it's the same. So if I wanted to reply to this specific message for Bruce, there is a reply arrow right here where I can click on that arrow and enter in my reply to that specific message here. Now over here on the side, you'll see this fill up with specific threads from different students and different courses. So at some point, you may desire some filtering. You can click on the drop down and pick inbox messages for just specific classes here. Or you can try to find, for example, all messages you have sent to someone like this, or messages that you have marked for yourself. This is called starring. To star a message, you just click on the star to do that. And over here too, I don't have examples to show, you'll be able to see submission comments. Students can make comments when they submit an assignment, and you may want to keep an eye on those. In my experience, frequently students asked for help in submission comments. So just know that they are in a separate area of the inbox if you wanted to filter that way. Or you can just search. You can search by user or by inbox messages for a specific course. And your address book for those courses appears right here. Now that's how you can access the inbox. This is the main hub for all those communications to appear. But there are other ways for you to send messages to students, maybe in places that you don't expect. I'm going to move on over to my own Canvas because my fake students live there. So not here, but here. For reference, this is a business class with a full student roster, like so. This is how it's going to look. I want to start here because here is another place for you to contact students. So when you click on the people area, you can click on a student's name like that. And right over here in the new window that appears is a little envelope. The envelope is another opportunity for you to send a message to Bruce. Notice that if you're sending a message here, you don't have the full features of the inbox. So for example, you can just type, but you won't be able to say create a video from inside the message. This is just a text message type of thing. So you can send a message to Bruce or your student from here. You can also send a message to students in the gradebook. More on the gradebook later, tomorrow, I think. I could even click on the name of a student here and send a message for Bruce right here. You can also send a message to students inside an assignment column. So I'm going to pick this assignment. And as you've seen multiple times by now, the menu is a 3 dots. So when I select on it, I have a message students who option. Now, this type of messaging found in the gradebook can be very targeted. For example, I have some students that didn't do this assignment, and I can send a message to just those students. Canvas knows who they are, and you can see who they are. So you can type in your message, add an attachment, or again, upload a video, or you can create a video from here, or turn that off. And then send that message so it goes to their inbox messages. Other options for message students who include students who have scored less than a certain cutoff or more than a certain cutoff. Or maybe you are behind in grading, and for transparency, you want to let those students know, hey, sorry, you got to wait a little bit longer. Or even to students who have submitted, in which case you can decide to send it to just the students who have not had it graded yet. One last place where you can access ways for you to message students is inside of Course Analytics. Actually, let's do this. It should be inside of Students. Do you see right over here, there's a little envelope symbol. If you click on the envelope symbol, that is another way you can send messages to students once this wheel fills up. Actually, let's try that again. But the window that eventually appears here will look similar to the one you saw inside of the gradebook too. Oh, it's really thinking about it today. Let's see if we can find a better way here. Really, anywhere inside of Course Analytics is an envelope where you can message students from there. Maybe we'll come back to this. I don't want to delay this too long. Let's see. One more time. Yeah, we'll come back to it. We'll let that think about it. In the meantime, since we are on the subject of the inbox, let me pull up a fake student and I'll actually show you what that email looks like. Because I see there's lots of curiosity about the inbox and how it appears to students. Now, she doesn't have an Outlook, she has Gmail. Here's how the message looks from the student's email, except of course in Outlook for you. It's going to say, Helen Wilson sent you a message in Canvas. The message appears here. The sender appears here. And there's even here a direction, right? You can reply to this message in Canvas by replying directly to the email. So that's how it appears to the student as long as they have that notification set up. Course Analytics, once it's enabled, does have to appear in the navigation. You can enable it inside of settings. So we'll try this. Oh, here we go. There's that envelope. For any area of Course Analytics, you will have a prompt here to message students who. There it is right there. And again, I can target messages. So I want to target this message to students getting between 50 and 80%. Enter in the subject and the message here. You can also send messages to students who have it missing or students who have anything late inside the course. These other areas of Course Analytics, like here, also have those options. So just look for the envelope as another place where you can send messages to students. You can even do so from an individual's listing inside of the people area because you have that message students who right there. All right. So those are all the different ways in which you can send a message to students. Let's take a look quickly at announcements. I'm going to go on back to MTSU for this. If you're thinking about, oh, this is a lot of different ways to communicate with students, you're right. You're going to want to think of use cases for you to use specific tools. For instance, the calendar was how I communicated those assignment due dates and office hours. The inbox was where I sent one-on-one messages to students. Announcements are where it's a one-to-many situation. So in announcements, I send one message that goes to all students simultaneously. So to create that announcement, go to the announcements link right here, and then go to add announcement. And then here is where you add your content, and you see you have the rich content editor here. So while you can absolutely type out a simple welcome to the course type of announcement to appear at the top, you could format that text, add links, images, documents, video, LTIs, tools that work with Canvas. And right here, you can also attach a file, say your syllabus or the reading for the next class. The accessibility checker lives right here. And remember, that keeps track of your content so that you can fix those errors as they come up. And as an option too, you can allow this choice to have a little thumbs up here, similar on Facebook to allow liking. Many instructors allow this option to have students confirm they've seen the announcement by clicking on the silhouette. So you can allow that option here. Now you could, as a choice, create your announcement in advance, say like the Wednesday before classes start, and then only have that announcement appear on Monday. So if I want that as a choice, I can decide, hey, I want that announcement to appear on the 18th. And maybe it starts being visible at 8 a.m. And then maybe it's only visible until the 22nd at 5 p.m. So you can set a visibility time for the announcement. So when you hit save with those available from and until dates, you will be able to see it because you made the announcement, right? But Bruce over here, we're going to make Bruce try to find the announcement, but he's not going to be able to find it. So here's Bruce going into his announcements. And you see, like, he won't know that it's here until May 18th. And if you need to edit that announcement, select on the 3 dots right here, choose edit, and then you can go back in and add additional information. Then save it. So this is a great way for you to send a one-to-many kind of announcement, like I had to change the due date for the next quiz, or as what happened to me one day, I had an accident on the way to work, I won't be coming in. That's a great way for you to send that message across to students quickly. And all announcements in your course, as long as you have made that visible to students, will be listed here for students to access. They can search for an announcement. They can also choose to read just the unread announcements. Mark all as read. Or in your case, because you're the teacher, you can delete announcements by clicking on several checkboxes to delete and then hit the delete box. So that's the announcements index. By the way, as a pro tip, do you see on my home page here, I have announcements at the top. I would find that even if I sent out announcements that students had to click here, and that was a barrier to them. You can choose to put announcements on the home page so they can't escape your announcements. So if you want to see that, you want to have that be a thing, you have to change one setting. So I'm going to go into my course settings here. So once I've clicked on that, choose on the settings page, so scroll all the way down and turn on show recent announcements on course homepage. So click that checkbox and choose the number of announcements you want to show. I recommend just 1 or 2. Then hit update. So when you go back to your home page, everybody will be able to see the recent announcements at the top, which you can check here in View as Student.
Helen, we have a question. Is there a way that we can reorder announcements and to possibly pin one for our students?
That is a great question. Let's find out. Because by default, the most recent is at the top. Yeah, you see right here, these two. There's not a module kind of move to function, so it looks like the only thing I can do is delete. I suppose I could delete some of these extraneous announcements to try to move several others up to the top. I don't think you can pin them either. So it's only going to place that most recently posted announcement at the top. So I think the answer to both of those is no. That's a great question, though. All right. So for our last hurrah here this morning, let's take a look at discussions. And I know we usually think of discussions as a graded item. They certainly can be. But I encourage you to also consider a discussion as a communication opportunity. And the classic example would be the Q&A discussion board. The Q&A discussion board is an ungraded discussion board where students can just use this as an opportunity to ask questions of you, of your TAs, and of other students. You can set it up so that students know this is not for a grade, this is where you put your questions. You can also add guidelines like be respectful, as well as have some assistance for technical things in case students are struggling with using discussions. But once the discussion is up, you can be subscribed to new posts so that you know when new discussion posts have been made so that you can address those questions as they come up. So here's an introduction only to the discussions area. We are going to have a deeper discussions training tomorrow. Right here in the discussions area is a list of all of the discussions in the course. Unlike announcements, you can pin discussions. So I am keeping a special eye on this course Q&A discussion board, hence why it's pinned. It's in a separate section up at the top. If you need to pin a discussion like this discussion, you can go to the menu for it here and choose pin. And now I can keep an eye on it from its elevated position here. You can move it back to the main discussion area by choosing unpin. There's also at the very bottom, I'll close this because it's quite lengthy, a closed for comments discussion board. So let's say this discussion board got really wild and I need to calm everybody down. So I could go to the 3 dots for the discussion and choose close for comments. And the discussion will enter a read-only state. But after that point, students wouldn't be able to post to the board again until I opened it back up. So here's where you can manage all of the discussions present in the course. And by default, they're ordered by recent activity. So the most active discussions are at the top. Other things you can do for a discussion. Editing allows you to add the directions. Assign to could allow you to change the due date. You can also move discussions up and down the board. And there's also duplicate, send to, and copy to, all of which we know about now. So if you wanted to set up a new discussion board, let's say, right, you could either duplicate one, or you can create one from scratch using the Add Discussion button. Give that a title here. Place your directions here. And I like creating sections, so I have a, introduction here. Please post your resources, your questions about course resources here. So feel free to format your directions appropriately, add links, images, documents, etc. Attach items you want for students to see. And for ungraded discussions, we will refrain from hitting the graded checkbox. But you can allow options like participants must respond before viewing other replies, or you can allow or disallow threaded replies, or allow liking. You can even add this to the to-do list for students, even though it's not a graded item, you can still put it on that list if you want. And then if you want for this discussion, even though it's ungraded, to have a shelf life, so maybe it's only available between certain dates, you could. So once you have hit save and publish, you now have a informal course communication type of board. You just want to make sure that this board is accessible to students, because right now it's living in discussions and it's not visible at the moment. So if I want to add this course resources Q&A board to modules, you should. So let's say I want to add it to this first module here. I'm going to choose the plus button, choose discussion in the drop down, and then choose, so I'm going to have to search for it, right? The course resources Q&A board. And your new board appears at the bottom, so you'll have to move it to a specific place, wherever it should be. And then you now have a Q&A board for anybody who wants to access. By the way, there is an option, and I think it is appropriate for certain kinds of classes, to where you can turn on anonymous discussion. Just be aware, if you put on full anonymous discussion, even you will not be able to see who made the post. So that can be helpful for discussions on sensitive topics. Just be aware that you might not be able to find out who said what. The partial option is a nice midway option for if you want students to choose to reveal themselves, then choose that. Otherwise, if you prefer to see student names and profile pictures, then just choose off. Other options to regulate your discussions live here underneath the settings area of the discussion board. Things like allowing students to edit and delete their own replies, to allow students to attach files, or to allow students to report inappropriate or offensive discussion posts. So when it comes to students and that experience, it's actually just like accessing in modules. Students click on the board. They click on the reply button, and here's where they can type their reply or add additional information like images, links, and then they hit reply. And once your boards get lengthy, I think you would really welcome the discussion summary option. So you can have Canvas tell you, hey, can you give me a summary of what Helen said in the discussion? And you can ask Canvas to get you that information. Similar to Amazon, where you can get a summary of reviews. And here's just a little bit of what that looks like. Here's how the liking option appears. Here's how a reported reply looks, so all students see that it's been reported. And in the three dots here, even as an instructor, you can edit anybody's reply. Here I'm editing my own, but you can reply and edit students' replies. All right. We're just at time. Let me try to answer last questions before we end here today.
Helen, can you show how to give, like, is there a way to give someone a special, like a student special access or extended access or like to a discussion?
I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong place. Okay, let's go to this Q&A discussion board here. So I know you can allow that in a graded discussion. I'm not sure you can do that in an ungraded one. Oh, no, I lie. I take that back. Here's where you can do that. So let me choose everyone. So the default is for everyone to have access to the board, right? And let's say the board closes February the 20th. If you click assign to, here's where you can give one student specific access. So there's an assign to button that you click and type in the names of students and the dates when those specific students have access to the board. How did I move the discussion into the module? So find the module where you want the discussion to go. Let's say it's this one. Click on the plus button for it. And then in the drop down, choose discussion, and then you find the discussion to attach. And then from here, you have to find a place for it.
And one more, can you show where to attach a rubric to a discussion?
I can, but it has to be graded.
Okay.
So here's a graded discussion. When you create the discussion initially, you have to mark it as graded or the rubric doesn't show. So here's where you check off graded. Once it's checked off as graded in the three dots, let's have this save. Right here, you should now have a show rubric option. And we'll have a discussion session tomorrow, so more details on graded discussions coming. Inside of the discussions index to address the analytics question, I know you're accustomed to seeing really granular analytics. I respect that, I do. Inside the discussion link here for a specific discussion board like this one, you can see total replies are here, and then the number of your unread replies appear here. If you wanted to see more details like, when did Helen access the board? You can scroll down, and because every discussion post has a date and a time posted, you can I've never tried. You can try to see if discussion summarize lets you get that information you're looking for. But if you're looking for like true analytics, you would go to the course analytics area. Which if you're looking to enable it, should be in navigation. See, here it is right here. You would have to move it up to the top.
In order for the instructor to see it?
Yes,
what
you
what
want
I'm
easy
used to getting
access
is
to.
I can go into discussions and first print out a discussion statistics page that lets me know who answered replied to the discussion topic, how
Yeah.
many of the students, how many students each student responded to, because they have to respond at least to 3 other students' comments
Right.
and discussion, those kinds of things. And it gave me that up front that I could like download and then use that to finish up grading the discussions. So we don't have access to anything like that.
When you set up a graded discussion, and I'll show you this tomorrow, I
Okay.
believe, you can set up what are called checkpoints. That's what you're talking about. Reply to this on Friday. Your 3 other replies to 3 other students are due next Tuesday.
Well, no, but they're all due whenever they do the discussion.
So all of the analytics that are available in Canvas are located in Course Analytics. They do look different. You can access, for example, Helen looked at this discussion during this week. But if you're looking for all analytics for a single discussion on one page, that is not available in Canvas at this time.
Oh, wow. That's a bummer. Okay.